Roguelikes live off randomness, as it is by far and away their most defining feature. The original Rogue was designed to be an adventure game that could be enjoyed by its creators, by having its game world be mainly the product of randomness rather than being meticulously handcrafted. This random nature would have the unintended effect of allowing the game to be played multiple times without getting stale, which led to the popular roguelike genre we know today, which capitalizes on this amazing potential for replayability. For this reason, I believe procedural level generation to be one of, if not the, most important feature of any roguelike. Hello, my name is Ethan, and this is the 9th devlog of my tag team roguelike, The Rowdy Bunch. And today, we shall be adding procedural generation. But first, what exactly do I mean by procedural generation? Basically, when I say procedural generation, I'm really just referring to the action being undertaken by a procedural generation algorithm. But I'm sure you already knew that. After all, Minecraft, the most popular game ever, has its entire world be procedurally generated whenever you create a new world. Now, of course, I'm not going to be making an algorithm anything like Minecraft's. Firstly, because I can't, and secondly, because my game is a 2D sidescroller, not a 3D sandbox, meaning I won't be using Perlin Noise since that's mostly used to create smooth height changes that don't translate well to 2D. No, instead I shall be taking a page out of other side-scroller roguelikes like Dungreed and Dead Cells by having my levels be comprised of a tile map, but that was a given, and handcrafting small rooms that would then be fitted together randomly by my procedural generation algorithm. Well, not completely randomly, of course, since I still need to have a certain structure that players can learn, but randomly enough to the point that each level feels substantially different. Now we arrive at our first challenge. If I want my handcrafted rooms to be able to be recreated and move around freely by my generator, I'll have to convert them into data that can be read by my generator. Now I could of course manually type in every tile, collider and prop that comprises each room, but I'm not a masochist, so I'll instead make a script that allows me to save, load and erase rooms while in the editor. Easier said than done. I had one big issue when making the save and load system, well beside me constantly overwriting saves, that being the fact that whenever I'd load a room in the editor, I would see its components visually in the 2D workspace, but they wouldn't appear in the scene tree. But I didn't get what I was doing wrong, since I was making sure to set their appearance after instantiating them. Now if you're a Godot user, you might notice the problem immediately, but since I'm a former Unity user, I was used to just being able to spawn stuff in the editor and have it automatically be shown in the scene tree, which meant it took me some time and a few headaches before I eventually realized that the reason behind the disappearance was because I wasn't setting their owner after I spawned them in, which meant they weren't being shown in the editor, but after fixing that, the saving and loading of rooms was dealt with, and I could finally get to the actual algorithm. Now currently I only have one kind of level in my game, that being encounters. Later on I'll add things like elite encounters, mini bosses, shops and more, but since encounters make up the bulk of my game world, their algorithm is getting focused on. You can think of the encounters in my game as a parfait. There are always 3 enemy ambushes placed at the start, middle and end, and between each ambush there are 2 rooms. There are a ton of cool rooms you can find between ambushes like parkour, a sack tied down with a rope, more parkour, the twin towers. Wait, what? Now, something that might confuse you is why I want to have 3 enemy ambushes in a single encounter. Well, besides the obvious benefit of being able to put all these cool rooms in between them. But the reason behind it is really simple. I'm simply minimizing loading screens by having multiple fights basically packed into one. Now ideally I'd be able to load the entire map in a single go, but that'd take pretty long and I'd also be robbing the player of their choice, as you might have noticed that my levels progress simply from left to right, meaning I can't exactly build branching paths into the level itself. Well, I could, but I don't want to. Now the way the algorithm randomly picks which room should appear between ambushes and what ambush room should be where
is by generating a random number using a seed that decides which room should appear from an array.
That room is then removed from the array once it's been picked. Alongside that, I've made sure that rooms that have a similar premise, like 2 parkour rooms, never get chosen twice in a row, to allow for a bit more variety, and lastly I'm having each ambush increasing difficulty.
Yap. When are we gonna get to see a procedurally generated level? Alright, let's go ahead and do a full run to showcase all the cool stuff we've added. If you enjoyed this devlog, you can go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you have anything you'd really like to ask or tell me, feel free to leave a comment. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and till we meet again.